Dr. Elena Volkov had been tracking UFO sightings for 12 years, and the pattern was undeniable. Alien craft appeared over every continent, every ocean, every major city on Earth. Except one place. A perfectly circular region in the Siberian wilderness, roughly 200 miles in diameter, had zero confirmed sightings. Not one. Ever. She stood in her office at the International UFO Research Institute, staring at the holographic map of global sighting data. Thousands of points of light covered the globe like stars, each representing a verified encounter. And there, in eastern Siberia, was a perfect circle of darkness. An absence so complete it looked like someone had erased that section of the map. It's called the Tunguska Exclusion Zone, her colleague Marcus said, walking in with fresh coffee. Though that's not the official name. Officially, it doesn't exist. The Tunguska Event was in 1908, Elena said. That was over 100 years ago. Why would modern alien craft still avoid it? Maybe they know something we don't. Elena pulled up historical data. The famous Tunguska explosion had flattened 800 square miles of forest, but the exclusion zone was different, smaller, more precise, and centered 20 miles south of the original blast site. Seismic data showed unusual readings from the region. Magnetic anomalies. Even satellite imagery had strange distortions when viewing that specific area. I need to go there, Elena said. The Russian government won't let you within 50 miles of it. They claim it's a nature preserve, but everyone knows it's restricted for other reasons. Elena smiled. Then it's good I have friends in low places. 3 weeks later, she was in a helicopter flying over the Siberian taiga, accompanied by Marcus and a Russian geologist named Dmitry, who'd agreed to guide them in exchange for data sharing. The endless forest stretched below them, dark green and seemingly infinite. There, Dmitry said, pointing. That's the boundary. You see how the trees change? Elena looked. The forest below them was normal. Then suddenly, as if drawn with a compass, the vegetation changed. The trees were smaller, sparser, their growth stunted despite the rich soil. And in the exact center of the circle, there was something that made her breath catch. A clearing. Perfectly round. And in its center, a structure. It wasn't human. The architecture was wrong, angles that hurt to look at, proportions that made no sense, materials that seemed to shift between solid and liquid. And surrounding it, a series of standing stones arranged in geometric patterns that were somehow both ancient and impossibly advanced. What the hell is that? Marcus whispered. The helicopter pilot refused to fly closer. I can put you down at the edge of the clearing, but I'm not going near that thing. And I'm leaving in exactly 2 hours, whether you're back or not. They landed a quarter mile from the structure and approached on foot. Elena's instruments went haywire immediately. Electromagnetic readings spiked and dropped randomly. Her compass spun uselessly. Even her watch seemed to run at different speeds, gaining and losing minutes erratically. This whole area is a space-time anomaly, she said, recording everything. It's like the normal laws of physics are just suggestions here. As they got closer, Elena noticed something else. The standing stones had markings, not carved but somehow embedded in the rock itself. Mathematical formulas, astronomical charts, and symbols she'd seen in exactly one place before. Carved into ancient sites around the world that predated known civilization. These are warning markers, Dmitry said, his voice tight with fear. Every culture on Earth has them. The symbols that mean danger, forbidden, do not enter. These stones are in every language that ever existed, including ones we don't know. Warning who? Marcus asked. Humans? Or whoever's in the ships? They reached the structure itself, and Elena realized it wasn't a building. It was a seal. A massive, impossibly complex lock holding something closed. The surface pulsed with faint light, and beneath it, she could swear she heard something. A sound that wasn't quite sound, more like a vibration that resonated in her bones. Her equipment registered energy signatures unlike anything on Earth. The readings matched one thing in her database. The propulsion systems of the alien craft that had been visiting Earth for decades. But these readings were older, deeper, and infinitely more powerful. Oh God, Elena whispered, understanding flooding through her. This isn't why they avoid this place. This is what they're avoiding. She pulled up her tablet, accessing satellite data on UFO flight patterns. Every ship that came near Earth altered its trajectory to give this zone a wide berth. Some took absurdly inefficient routes just to maintain distance. One vessel had been tracked performing an emergency maneuver that nearly burned out its engines rather than pass over this region. They're not avoiding it out of respect or caution, she said. They're terrified of it. Marcus had found something, a cave opening near one of the standing stones. Inside, protected from the elements, were petroglyphs. He called the others over, shining his flashlight on images that made Elena's blood run cold. The carvings showed ships, clearly alien vessels, descending to Earth. But then they showed something else. Another ship, massive beyond comprehension, pursuing the others. And in the final images, that massive ship was sealed beneath the ground, imprisoned by symbols that matched the ones on the standing stones. This is a prison, Dmitri said, his voice barely a whisper. The 1908 event wasn't an explosion. It was a containment breach. Something tried to escape, and whoever built this seal pushed it back down. Elena's mind raced. The alien visitors to Earth weren't explorers or invaders. They were refugees, running from something that had been locked away here, beneath Siberia, for thousands of years. And the Tunguska event had been a warning, a reminder that the prison was weakening. We need to leave, she said. Right now. But it was too late. The ground beneath them began to tremble. Not an earthquake, something deliberate, rhythmic, like footsteps of something impossibly large moving far below. The seal structure pulsed brighter, its light shifting from faint blue to warning red. Through her equipment, Elena picked up a transmission. Not radio, but quantum entanglement communication, the same method the visiting alien ships used. It was coming from above, from orbit. A voice, translated through her computer's AI, spoke with desperate urgency. Humans at containment site. Evacuate immediately. You have triggered proximity sensors. The prisoner is awakening. We cannot help you. We cannot come closer. Run. The three of them sprinted back toward the helicopter. Behind them, the earth split open. Not from natural forces but as if being pried apart from below. Something rose from the depths. Not a ship, but an entity. It was massive, ancient, and wrong in ways that made Elena's eyes water to perceive. It was made of the same material as the seal, but corrupted, twisted. Where the seal was orderly and mathematical, this thing was chaos given form. It pulled itself upward, fighting against invisible forces that tried to drag it back down. The standing stones blazed with light, their warning symbols activating. The seal structure expanded, energy tendrils reaching out to wrap around the emerging entity. For a moment, Elena saw it clearly, a being that existed partially in multiple dimensions simultaneously. A creature that predated the aliens who visited Earth, perhaps predated Earth itself. And she understood. This wasn't an alien. This was what the aliens feared. This was why they had chosen Earth as a prison site. Because humans, in their ignorance, had developed enough technology to maintain the seal without knowing what they were maintaining. Every nuclear test, every deep seismic sensor, every satellite passing overhead had reinforced the containment field without humanity realizing it. The prisoner had been using humanity as its jailers, and humanity had never known. The helicopter lifted off just as the entity fully emerged. But the seal was holding, pulling it back down with geometric precision. The standing stones sang with power, their ancient technology responding to the breach. And from orbit, Elena saw them, dozens of alien ships, maintaining a perimeter, adding their own energy to the containment field from a safe distance. They weren't avoiding the zone. They were guarding it. They had always been guarding it. As the helicopter raced away, Elena watched the prisoner being dragged back into its prison. The seal closed, the stones dimmed, and within minutes, the zone looked as peaceful and empty as it had before. But she knew the truth now. What was that thing? Marcus asked, his hands shaking. I don't know. Something old. Something that the aliens, all of them, every species that's ever visited Earth, agreed needed to stay locked away. And they chose our planet as the prison because we were primitive enough not to interfere, but advanced enough to eventually reinforce the seal with our own technology. Dmitri was pale. So all those UFO sightings, all those encounters, they're not visiting us. They're checking on the prison, making sure it holds. And the Tunguska Event? Marcus asked. A warning. The prisoner almost got out in 1908, and the Guardians had to physically intervene. They pushed it back down, reinforced the seal, and left markers so obvious that even we would notice and stay away. Every ship since then has maintained distance because they know what's down there, and what would happen if it escaped. Elena looked at her data, at the global map of UFO sightings with its perfect circular void. She thought about ancient astronaut theories, about alien visitors guiding human development. The truth was simpler and more terrifying. Humanity had been chosen not because we were special, but because we were convenient. We were the unwitting guards of a cosmic prison, and our ignorance was our greatest asset. We can't tell anyone, she said finally. If humanity learns what's really under Siberia, if we realize we're prison guards for something that terrifies beings far more advanced than us, we'll panic. We'll try to study it, weaponize it, or worse, free it. But people need to know, Marcus protested. Do they? The system works because we don't know. The moment we understand, we'll interfere. We'll send expeditions, drill down, try to make contact. And that thing will escape. The aliens know this. That's why they've never told us. That's why all their messages have been warnings disguised as mysteries. They need us ignorant and curious enough to develop technology that strengthens the seal, but not so curious that we dig too deep. Back in Moscow, Elena filed a report claiming their expedition found nothing but natural seismic activity and magnetic anomalies. She deleted the cave photos, the readings from the seal structure, everything that could lead someone else to investigate further. But she kept the transmission from the alien ships, the desperate warning. She played it sometimes late at night, when she looked at the map with its perfect circular void, and wondered what would happen if the seal ever failed completely. The alien ships continued their visits, maintaining their perimeter, adding energy to the containment field from safe distances. And humanity continued its ignorant existence, developing new technologies, launching new satellites, conducting new deep Earth experiments, all of which unknowingly reinforced the prison beneath Siberia. The forbidden zone remained forbidden, avoided by those who knew what lay beneath and ignored by those who didn't. And in the darkness below the Siberian Earth, the prisoner waited, patient and ancient, testing the seal with each passing year, waiting for the moment when its jailers would make a mistake. Elena looked up at the night sky, where alien ships patrolled in silence, and wondered how long the seal would hold. How long before humanity's curiosity overcame its ignorance? How long before someone found what she'd found and made the fatal decision to dig deeper? The aliens avoided the zone not out of fear for themselves, but out of fear for what would happen if the prison failed. They had chosen Earth as a containment site, turned humanity into unwitting guards, and desperately hoped, that the seal would hold long enough for humanity to mature into worthy inheritors of the truth. But until that day came, the zone would remain forbidden. The ships would maintain their distance. And beneath the Siberian wilderness, in a prison built by beings older than stars, something patient and terrible would continue its eternal vigil, waiting for the day when the seal finally broke, and it could emerge into a universe that had tried so hard to forget it ever existed. Elena closed her files and turned off her computer. Some mysteries, she had learned, were forbidden for good reason. And some warnings were meant to be heeded, not investigated. The forbidden zone would keep its secrets. And humanity, in its blessed ignorance, would continue to serve as jailers of something they could never comprehend. Guards of a prison they didn't know existed, protecting a universe from a threat they would hopefully never have to face. Above, the stars twinkled. And among them, silent ships maintained their eternal watch, grateful that humanity remained curious enough to strengthen the seal, but ignorant enough not to break it. The zone remained forbidden. And that, Elena knew, was exactly how it needed to stay.